Welcome to the podcast. It's Mr. Ish. We're here at KIPS Bay Boys and Girls Club, Who Dare Clubhouse, season number 7. But more importantly, Brent's Club, podcast number 2. We ain't doing no video because we're having some technical difficulties today, but that's okay. Audio's fine. The whole idea is to get the stories out. So let's introduce ourselves. Give me your name and your age, please.
Hi, my name's Noah, and I'm like 11.
You like 11 or you are 11?
No, I am 11.
Okay. Next.
Hi, my name is Miguel. I'm 13 years old.
Miguel, 13 years old, teenager. All right, so guys, today we're gonna explore some other stories and talk a little bit more about substance abuse, about maybe even alcohol abuse, maybe some drug abuse, but something that maybe a story that maybe has affected you or your family. I mean, I would like to think that maybe not all of us have gone through dealing with someone that's on drugs and stuff like that. But I'm old, so I know that maybe minimum 5 people in my family, were on drugs at one time. So my story could be the last one. But even at your age, at 11 and 13, has substance abuse or any type of drug abuse affected, or have you seen something? How has it affected you and your family? Any of you guys could jump in first. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
So like one time, like it was like alcohol stuff. So 3 years ago.
Okay.
So like 3 years ago, I was at the beach. It was summertime, and like everybody was drinking and stuff. And then one of my uncles started getting mad and stuff because the somebody else was just talking and like crap and stuff. I mean, and for no reason. And then he got aggressive and started fighting.
And that's one of the things. Sometimes they say that sometimes people are what they call they always compare it. They say there's a happy drunk, a sleepy drunk, and a violent drunk. So your uncle might be the violent type. He has too much to drink. He gets aggressive, starts fighting for no reason. And when you with people that act that way, they could endanger the other people also. They don't care if it's a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old. You see this on TV all the time. Sometimes there's a kid, in a stroller, and they were like, "Oh, they shot at the mom and the baby died." It's because maybe the mom was going crazy, and someone just decided, whoever's in the way. And it's sad, but that's things that happen. Again, what you have to say, bro? You have any stories of anything and substance abuse, drug abuse that has affected your family?
Yeah, my dad, like 11 years ago, he used to take drugs, like real drugs, the one that you put in your nose.
Yeah.
Um,
All drugs are real drugs, but he used to
yeah,
take, I would assume it's cocaine if he was taking it through the nose.
yeah, he used to like one time he slapped my mom.
Mm.
I was 2 years old.
Wow.
Um,
And you remember this, or is
yeah, I remember that.
it's crazy?
But she left him because he was taking drugs. But and they had an accident too in a motorcycle. She broke her hand. I think she broke a lot of parts of her body. Him too, and he didn't help the family like in nothing. He didn't pay for my studies, nothing. But then she met my dad right now that they have 11 years together.
Hmm.
He treated her good. Like 2 days ago, he called my real dad just because someone told him that she was in New York and he just wanted like
You wanted
to
to
call
reach
her.
out,
Yeah, because she was in New York.
but he wanted to reach out to you or to your mother,
Um,
to both
to
of you.
both, but he didn't do nothing for me and nothing. He used call because she was in New York.
All right. You said it was 11 years ago. So
Yeah.
your mother met another man that became basically your stepdad and took care of you and your mom and he treated her good. That's one of the fallouts of using drugs. You don't seem to care about anything but yourself. You don't seem to care about anything but how you're gonna get your next high. You don't seem to care about, robbing from your grandmother as long as you have $10 or $20 to buy what you got to buy. So that's one of the major fallouts of having drugs, and it does rip families apart. it makes families, you know, not have a dad around. Maybe like you were telling me your story. Maybe your uncle, got in trouble for that. Maybe he got arrested or something, and now he can't be there for his kids or his wife or his family. So there's always an action, and then there's a reaction, and most of the reactions are they breaking the law. You're breaking the law like by using drugs. You're breaking the law by let's say getting on that motorcycle and under the influence of something, and hurt your mother, her hip or her arm. It's something. When you get on these machinery, they always tell you don't use don't drink alcohol, don't use drugs while you on machinery. Machinery is everything. It could be cutting a tree, it could be a car, it could be a motorcycle, because it affects your movement. It affects the way you move. So
And even
that's one of the
and,
things.
and even it was 11 years ago, she still needs two surgeries.
Wow. So look at that. But do you ever feel that now that you're 11 years old, I mean you're 13 years old, you feel that maybe you could have a sit down one of these days in your life, maybe not now, maybe not at 13, maybe when you get a little older, and see what's going on with your dad. Maybe he cleaned himself, maybe he got into religion, maybe
Um,
I don't I don't know. I said, but it could be something that people change, and it would be great if the person changed and could be involved in your life.
I
But that's
mean,
not a guarantee.
he never like loved me or nothing. Like I'm
Yeah,
good with my dad now, with my
yeah, yeah.
stepdad. Like
Ain't
it's
nothing
good.
wrong with that. Um, I didn't have the same situation. Like I've had a stepdad. He recently passed away, but I always had my dad, and it wasn't a drug. It was nothing about drugs. Is that my dad was always working, and then my stepfather was always there. So because he was always there, I did a lot of things with my stepfather that I never did with my dad. But it wasn't alcohol or drug related.
Oh yeah, my dad like gang stuff like from the Dominican Republic.
Hmm.
He had like guns and things.
Yeah,
Like
that's
he
not
stealing stuff.
good to bring back to the family. I mean, once you're dealing with substances, you're dealing with drugs. Most of the time, that means robbing, stealing. That means carrying, like you said, weapons of some kind, and that endangers everybody. So that's one of the reasons why it's always, especially at your age, to be aware of not to play with guns, not to play with knives and stuff like that. Do I have a story? I guess I got many stories. Um, I think one of my uncles, um, he's dealing with some cancer now, but he was on drugs since he was like 14 years old, and because of that, he was in and out of jail. So I knew him because I'm one of the oldest, but my grandmother used to suffer. I lived with my grandmother, and I used to, like in the nighttime, she was always used to suffer. Like, I can't believe that my little baby is in jail, and years passed by, and it got to the point that he was in there. I don't even remember. My grandmother died. They brought him out. He escaped twice from jail. Then he escaped from jail. He went right back to it. I think he's been out now for, my daughter's about 9 years old, so he's probably been out for about 8 years, in and out. And his mind is good. Like, he'll remember everything, but when they on these drugs, it's just like they're totally different people. And it's sad. It's sad to see someone that is part of your family that you love, and you almost cross the street. Like, if I had to see him and I had my girls and I look at his face and he was in a bad condition, I gotta cross the street. Like, I can't have my girls exposed to that. And that's a sad thing. That's almost like disrespecting your family. But, it's also taking care of my family. Like, your disrespect is doing the drugs, and if I was by myself, I would never cross. But if I'm with my wife and my two girls, and they know who he is, I can't let them see him under that, in that condition. So I just, cross the street, or we forgot something in the car, or let's go get ice cream and get back in the car and leave, just because I don't want them to be affected by that, because they're gonna be like, why did Uncle look like that? Why was he doing? Why was he acting this way? And that's a lot of questions. My daughters are real. They don't ask 1,000 questions. So I sometimes, avoiding it is the way I have to do it, and it's not the best reason either. Um, Any of you guys have any other stories that you want to share? You're so quiet now. You sad? You sad about my story? Or you thinking? Um,
I know a couple others.
all right, well, let's get to it. We got 10 minutes in. Let's do it.
Mm.
I mean, I'm not happy that you have other stories, but I'm just saying, if you do have another story, let's express it now.
Like this one isn't. It's not that like serious, but like it still happens. Like so like every week, like Friday to Sunday,
Yeah.
like my entire family like gets together, and then during the entire weekend they like just drink and
Oh
hang out.
man, that's called a celebration, a celebration of life. Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you that that's a good thing and a bad thing. Sometimes people just have to blow up some steam. Um, but in Latin communities and Latin families, that's sometimes on Friday night they like to get their booze on. They get their booze on, they listen to music, and they pop off. They start telling stories and play dominoes and all that stuff. I really don't mind that as long as it's not, someone is slouching over or getting, too crazy with it. But I don't mind someone having a couple of drinks, listen to music and stuff like that. It's when they take it to another level. And if they stay up all night, 4 or 5 in the morning, and they don't let you sleep, then that's different. In my house, I don't have a lot of people that hang out in my house because my daughters go to sleep at 8 o'clock, and they go to sleep on a weekend at 9 o'clock. So I used to have my friends over on Sundays to watch football. We have a couple of beers and stuff like that. But the I don't know if you know the football schedule, but there's a game at 1 o'clock, there's a game at 4 o'clock, and there's a game at 7:30. So sometimes the 7:30 game it was a good game, and my friends were like, "Oh yeah, this is a good game at 7:30." I was like, "Nah, guys, you're out of here at 6 o'clock. Like you're cleaning up and getting out my house." They're like, "Oh man, but we brought all this food over. We brought all this beer." And I was like, 6 o'clock, you're out of here. I don't care what's going on. I don't care what team is playing. I got to clean up my house. My family's coming back, and the party's over." And it was hard because they want to hang out. They want to have a good time. So I understand what you're saying. Sometimes people want to have a good time.
Another time was my mom went to the, how do you say this in Spanish? Discoteca. Yeah.
He's saying it.
And
He said, he said it in Spanish. He said, "How you say it in Spanish?" And he said it in Spanish. The disco, the club. She
yeah,
was clubbing. All right. So your mom was
um
clubbing.
and I stayed alone in my house. And she told me she will come home like at 9,
Yeah, she
but
ain't
she
come
was
home.
with her cousins and thing.
Nine
And
o'clock.
she went like at 2, and I was all alone by myself in the house.
How
I
old?
was like
How
kind
how old were you?
of that time I was like 12.
About a
I
year.
was
About a
good,
year ago.
but she was drinking. She was with her cousin. She was,
They were
I
having a
mean,
good
good.
time.
I was good because I was alone. I mean, I could do whatever I want. So
Yeah, but
but she was drinking like too much.
legally, you're not supposed to be alone. Even at 12, I think you can be alone for a few hours. But if someone was to call the cops, there'll be a situation.
No,
I learned that the hard way.
because
Even if you was all right, if someone was to call the cops, ACS will be involved because you're 12 years old. You were left alone by yourself and in the nighttime, and your mom's she would have had a nice case on her
yeah, but we live in a house of 3 floors. But the one that left on the
on
top
top.
was on vacation, so I was alone, completely alone.
Yo, that's what I'm trying to tell you. I don't care if your grandmother lived on
Nobody
the top
will call
floor.
the cops.
No, I'm saying anybody could have called the
And
cops.
she told me not to open the door to
What
anybody.
about if you was someone would have just saw you, or you would have been screaming or out the window, and someone would say, I think there's a kid alone on the second floor by
No,
himself." People are nosy. I don't know where you live at in the Bronx, but people are nosy. People all in your business. I think that people even look through people's garbage to see what they doing. People be in everybody's business. Um, but if God forbid something was to happen to you during that time, your mom's would be in some serious business. You'll be in some serious business. I ain't gonna lie to
yeah.
you. My mother used to leave me alone. That's why I don't live with my mother. My mom used to be like, "Yo," and she used to go across the street. Like there was I used to look out the window and right downstairs. "Oh, I'm going right downstairs to the club right there." And she used to be in the club. And my dad came home from work and he was like, "All right, this is not gonna happen." And he just grabbed me and he says, "If you want to go to the club, you're welcome to go to the club, but my son's not gonna be here by himself." From that point on, I lived with my grandmother. She was not a bad lady. My mom's not a bad lady, and she's still a great lady now. But She had me when she was 20 years old, and she wanted to party. And my dad was like, nah. And I lived with my grandmother. It was a wonderful life that I did, living with my grandmother. And I saw my mom's, every day. Like I always had a room in my mom's house, and I used to see her, but I just didn't live with her. So, I guess even that, that small thing of going to the discoteca and having a couple of beers and hanging out and want to go dancing, even that could affect your family.
Me too. My mom had me at 14 years old, bro.
14, wow, that's young. That's young. 14 years old. Look at that. And you're 13 now, so you're almost 27 years old.
Not 28.
28? 28 years old. She's a baby herself. Your grandmother's probably what, 40?
50.
50? Look at that. I could be your great grandfather. I'm 50. I'm 53. I'm saying if your grandmother's what, 50, I'm 53 years old. I could be a great grandfather already. That's crazy. We had one of my uncles. One of my
And she thinks she's 20. My grandmother is 50, but she thinks she's 20.
man, my mother's 70 and she thinks she's 20. My mom's get her dance on. She don't play around. If you see her in a party, she dances all night long, and she's 70. So um, I'm getting too old.
She drinks alcohol.
Who? My mom?
Yeah. No,
Yeah, my mom. She she,
and your
she she's,
grandmother.
she's a Coors Light. My grandmother died, but
Oh,
my grandmother didn't drink. My mom, she likes a little Coors Light.
uh,
Um, you know, at this age, like, you can't really stop them. They're gonna do what they want to do. I mean, she don't drive. She don't drink and drive and none of that stuff. So she drink in her house. She got a little pool table in her house. She watch her novelas. She go to sleep. That's her life. Well, thank you guys for these stories. I know that sometimes it's painful opening up this chest of stories that that have affected your family. But thank you for being honest, and we'll continue. We'll continue exploring this Brent's Club, and I guess we'll have more topics, dealing with substance abuse and alcohol abuse, and we'll really jump into drugs and stuff like that. All right, guys, you want to say your goodbyes? Because we're out of here.
Bye.
That was a weak bye.
Check. 1 2 1 2. Check.
All right, Brent's Club, podcast number 2.